Hey, 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 hey. Hey, everybody, it's MsTonya. How you doing? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everybody who is at the sound of my voice right now. Everybody who is grateful to be alive right now. Go ahead and give it up. Give up your thanks, however you like to give it up. But give it up. Because we are definitely blessed to be here on this side. Now, there's some of us who may be going through some things, and that happens too. Life is about the peaks and the valleys. So we put something special up in the air for you. We do. Yes, we do. But overall, I want to let you know that it's up to us to make this day happy. I want to make it happy for myself. And we're going to have a conversation here today. We're going to be talking about navigating new age parenting in the age of the internet. Yeah, the internet and social media, because there's a lot of stuff going on out here, and there's some things we should probably be talking about. We absolutely should be talking about some of these things, you know? At least that's what I think. That's what I think. It's Talk It Out Tuesday. This is episode 120. I'll be joined very, very shortly by Tori, because this is what we do. This is what we do on Tuesdays. We come together and we have some real conversations. Some of them are serious conversations. Some of them can be a little more lighthearted. Today, we're kind of having one of those more serious conversations. We're talking about strategies that we should use to raise our kids. What we're doing here on the internet, like from discipline debates to digital dilemmas. Let's talk about it. How are we raising our kids? How are we raising good, productive persons in society to be able to take care of themselves? We're going to find out on the other side of this. But before we get into the conversation, you know what we always do? We do a little breath work. Yes, we do. We do a little breath work. And I want you to take this time for yourself because you deserve it. You do. What I want you to do is inhale to the count of 4. And we're going to hold it for a few seconds. And then we're going to exhale. And we'll hold that for a few seconds. And we'll repeat that a few times. Now, you can close your eyes if you're in a place that you can do that. And I want you to do that if you're driving. Don't do that if you're driving. Don't do that if you're actually sitting at the desk. If you got your head pods on and you're taking a listen, we'll vibrate with us and listen. But if you can close your eyes, close your eyes. You want to take it a step further, put your hands over your heart and feel that. You are alive. That's you. Let's get into it. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. One more time. Let's inhale. Hold it a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. Doesn't that feel great? Take your time. Take your time. If you had your eyes closed, take your time and feel where you're at. Feel your presence and enter this conversation with us. Today, we're going to be talking about new age parenting. We're going to have discussions about the impact and the influence of social media on our parenting. We're going to get into this conversation. We're going to be talking about, some of the debates from how we should discipline our kids, how some people are weaponizing and using the internet to discipline their kids. There's a lot going on out here in these internet streets, and I feel like this is a topic that we should discuss. And it is Talk It Out Tuesday. So, today Tori is going to be in the building. New age parenting and the social media influence. All right. All right, I got to bring Tori into the building. How are you doing, Tori? Tori,
What it do? What it do? What it do? It's Tuesday already again.
you coming in real loud. You own that mic. You own the mic.
I needed to.
Take a notch down, or either you just got real close to it. I don't know. But you sound good. I know you got some energy in you.
Am I still loud?
No, you sound good. You sound good. But you came in. You came in like, oh, Tori's in the house. Hey, 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 hey.
I was too close to the mic. I backed away a little bit.
Yeah. I figured that's what it was. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Good, good,
I'm
good.
feeling good. I'm feeling grateful. I'm excited about what we about to eat this Thursday. I'm excited about everything. I eat everything. Well, no, I don't eat everything. I don't eat the chitlins. I don't eat the pork stuff. But I'm excited about that dressing. Y'all know I get excited about food. I'm excited about some good old dressing. I'm excited about the potato bread, the collard greens, the mustard greens, the yams, the ham with the pineapples on it. Yeah, that honey glazed ham. Oh, I'm excited about all the food. Yeah, so my stomach is ready for Thursday.
Well, you named all the foods, but I'm getting ready to ask you a serious question. Are you cooking any of these things?
And no, I will be eating and helping washing dishes.
Okay. Listen, we need to go ahead and shout out all the people who are on the dishwashing committee, because we know there are more dishes during this time of the year than ever.
Yes, sir. Yes,
we got all them pots and pans, and we got to be scrubbing it. Listen, give it up for the dishwashers. Thank y'all. Thank you for everything that you do.
Absolutely. And I was just gonna say, actually, Thursday I'll probably eat when I get home, but I'm actually supposed to be helping out feeding this Thursday. So
right, and that's something that we have to do also. It is, we call it Thanksgiving, and there are people out here who are, not as fortunate as others. And I feel like those of us who are a little bit more fortunate, we need to be sharing with some who are not.
Right.
That giving part. You got to remember that giving part in there. Be thankful that you have the opportunity to give, and of your time is something as well. Helping feed another person and another family, helping clothe another family. There's this time of year, there's also a lot of food drives. There's also a lot of clothing and shoes drives. If you see those things going on in your community, make sure that you contribute. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Absolutely.
I can always leave it to you to, make sure that we right on track with what we need to be talking about, because you chose this topic today. What happened is you sent me a video where I'm going to describe it, because I really don't want to show it, because it really was hard for me to watch. And I really didn't watch much of it. After I watched the first few seconds, I got what it was, and I just, I stopped. I really didn't need to see the rest of it, but I'll describe a little bit of it.
Okay.
So you sent me the video where this father found his daughter twerking. And for him, what he decided to do was record her online on a social media platform. I don't know which platform was it. Was it TikTok or something like that? Do you remember?
I don't recall.
Well, I guess that's not so important. He recorded her on social media, and he disciplined her that way, and he chose to cut her hair online. And she was sitting in the chair, and he was clipping her hair, clipping her braids, and saying, "You were twerking, weren't you?" And that's pretty much how far I got into it, and I think you guys get it from there. That was horrifying.
It really was. I was like, are you serious right now? Like, you're gonna really humiliate her online like this? I mean, what is the game? What is the lesson that's gonna be learned by you doing this on live? Like, and I'm like you, I didn't watch the entire video either. I was like, oh my God.
I couldn't believe it. Well, I shouldn't say I couldn't believe it, because we've seen similar things like this happen online, and I just don't know why a parent would choose to do that. I do not know why they would, because obviously you have to know that there are going to be some really negative impacts of doing things like that. There's going to be long-term effects of that, psychologically, emotionally. You know, these kids have to go to school and their friends have seen it. And how do you explain having hair one day and going back without the hair, and knowing that your father or your mother did that as a discipline, and they recorded it and put it online so your friends get to see it, as if they aren't bullied, as if they don't have to deal with internet and social media and cyber bullying anyway, and their parent has become a part of that. That's crazy.
It's very crazy. And Logan, like, he got something to say. He talking a lot today.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, tell him.
He like, blah, 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 like, what are you saying? He don't like it either, obviously.
Okay, that's his way of saying good afternoon.
What's up, Jamaica? Good afternoon, ladies. I'm cooking already. Hope everyone is doing wonderful. Listen, that's when you know you cook. When you start at early cooking.
Oh, Tuesday.
Yes, them Tuesday and Wednesday cook. That's when you know you. I call them the real cookers. When you start early, y'all already know. Hi, Miss Gloria. Miss Gloria says, good afternoon, ladies. Thank y'all for bringing these topics forward. We appreciate you, Miss Gloria. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I mean, Tori, I know that we are dealing with a whole lot right now. You know, we're in a technology age, so we can't take, it's not like we can reel it back in. We can't take the internet back. No. Or at least, I don't know, we do live in America. They might find a way of taking, America like to take things. So who knows? But right now we living in it, right?
Right.
And, I just feel like there are better ways. I don't like to tell people how to parent, but I can promise you, like, traumatizing your child, that's definitely not a way to do it. That's definitely not a good form of discipline. There's the debate between, different parents feel like whether they spank or not, and we're certainly not talking about abuse. And then there are people who feel like any type of spanking is abuse. They feel like there's several psychological effects of that. So different people have their own ways of discipline, but we got to be honest, some things just go too far. What are you guys thinking out here who are listening already? I see some eyeballs out here. Let us know, like, what are some ways that we can discipline our young people, and especially that age of K through 12, because after they get out of, after they graduate, I imagine that they're doing whatever it is that they're going to do online in these social media streets, and they're maybe leaving the home already, whether they're going to college, whether they're going to the military, whether they're deciding to get into the work world, but what are we doing with these young people 12 through K when we're talking about parenting in this digital age? What are you guys doing? How is it helpful? How is it harmful? Start letting us know that in the comments. Do you, Tori? I mean, you're a mother, so am I. But what are some ways and some impacts that you've seen the internet be either helpful or harmful as it relates to parenting in this age of social media?
Well, for me, I made a choice, because actually I got criticized for giving my son a cell phone late. He didn't get a cell phone until he was about, I think, 13 or 14. Whereas opposed to some of my peers, kids had phones at 7. I was like, why they need a phone that they got a school phone? He can call me. But I got criticized for giving him a cell phone late. And then also when it came to internet, I didn't want him to have a Facebook account or anything like that. And actually to this day, he doesn't even have a desire, because he sees some of the stuff that, when I have my Facebook, he's like, oh, Facebook be doing too much. He's like, he don't even want to be on Facebook. I was like, okay. I said, but it's how you use it. Because I actually stumbled upon something today. I did not. Logan, really?
He just saying he agree. You keep talking, girl. You know how you be in church and the pastor be preaching and they be like, say it. That's what he doing. We hear you, girl.
And it's like he doesn't even have desire for Facebook right now. He sees some of the things that, when I have my Facebook page, and I stumbled across something today that I was not aware of. I don't know how I got there, but I stumbled upon something that is called, because I already monitor the time that I'm on social media. I'm on social media no longer than 45 minutes a day. I do like maybe 2 or 3 minutes here, 5 minutes here. My total time per day is 45 minutes. But something I came across, and like I said, I don't know how I hit the button, but it ended. It's called quiet mode, right? And you can tell how long that you want to be on quiet mode. So I just hit 6 days, right? So I ain't know what I was doing, Tanya. So I hit 6 days on quiet mode. And how about I can't even I can't even open Facebook at all right now. And I'm trying to
Oh,
figure out
wow.
how to get out of it. So when I was logging, I was like, when is it gonna let me go live? Because on my phone, it's on quiet mode. It won't let me log out or nothing. So I got to figure it out. But I think it's cool because it's like when you are on quiet mode, you don't see notifications, you don't see anything. And
Mhm,
you actually set the days that you have it on quiet mode. And I actually set it for 6 days. So the next 6 days I probably won't, see anything that's on
mhm.
on Facebook. I actually like it, but I just got to figure out how to navigate through it because I don't know how to log out or anything. So,
I got you. I got
but
you.
I am live, right? I hope I'm live
You
on
are.
my page. Okay, cool. Because
You are.
I was like, is it gonna allow me to go live? But on my phone, it won't allow me to do anything.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you something. I agree with you with what you said with you said that your son, you got him a cell phone in what people considered late because he didn't get one until he was like 13. So that was like middle school. That's the middle
Yeah.
school age, right?
Hmm.
Well, I think we share that because I did the same thing. I didn't see the necessity of them having phones in elementary school. I feel the very same way that you feel. Anything that happened while they were at school within that environment, I felt like, it should be reported to the office. You need to go to the office. A teacher, a principal, or someone is going to contact me. So, thinking that my young child needed to have a phone. At that time, I didn't think it was important. And I still don't know how I feel about it. I think I can allow every parent to feel what environment their kid is in and how they get to and from school and what type of safety measures you feel like you want to have and what makes you feel comfortable. But for where I was and how close I was to the school and my kid, I felt comfortable with them not having a phone until they were teenagers. So I did the same thing. I see we got a message here from Kimberly, and I think she's talking about the video with the guy who cut his daughter's hair.
Yeah, Kimberly says, I'm trying to understand how you teach a child about humiliating themselves on social media by humiliating them on social media. Make that make sense. How did the very thing he was so called disciplining her about? So I don't I never got it because there was another one. Um, a father disciplined his son because I think there was so many I saw with the men disciplining the sons, but I remember
Yeah.
there was one that was really bad where the dad cut the son hair as well. But when he cut the son's hair, Tanya, now this one really broke my heart. He cut his hair. You know how on what was that
George
sitcom?
Jefferson.
Yes, you saw that, right?
I did.
That made me cry. I'm like,
I
why?
did. And
Why?
and, and I don't know. And I agree with Kimberly here. She's like, because I don't understand that. It's like you're trying to teach them. If we just go back to the girl that we're immediately talking about here, where he cut her hair because she was twerking, and he
Mhm,
felt like that was, she was humiliating herself by
mhm.
doing that. But clearly, it was more humiliating for him. But like Kimberly says, how do you teach them to not humiliate themselves on social media by humiliating them on
Right,
social media?
right.
That does not make sense. So I agree with you, Kimberly. It absolutely does not make sense. I feel like young people are dealing with so many things as it relates to social media. We know that they're dealing with cyberbullying, and that's giving them an entire emotional stress and de-stress, and parents have to really monitor that. They don't know who's bullying their kids online. And Tori was talking a little bit about her own time management and screen time. That's something that we got to pay attention to because excessive screen time It's definitely going to lead to a lack of focus as it relates to their academics. And they've got to have some other things to do. I mean, we were kids, we were well rounded kids. We went outside, we played, we had extracurricular activities. And these young people are just scrolling. There has to be a whole lot more that they're able to do and that we need to influence them to do. And then we got to be honest about this too. The access to inappropriate content. Children are exposed to so many things that are inappropriate, which is why she was twerking in the beginning, because that is what she is seeing online. That is what is getting hits. That is what's getting likes. And that is what they want to do. They're emulating what they see. So they're seeing all of this harmful content on social media, and they're doing some of the same things. So it's important that parents, and I know it's tough, but you've got to find a way to monitor that. You have to. You need to be concerned about those privacy concerns. We're not even concerned, I think, a lot of the times with our own privacy concerns as it relates to social media, because we're giving up so much of our stuff. But you've got to let them know what information they cannot share online for their own safety, because people will be able to get to them. I mean, Tori, it's rough out here, girl. It's rough in these internet streets.
It is, and I'm glad you see you pointed it out, because when Kadarius did get his cell phone, oh my God, he was so upset with me because I had the parental controls on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another thing, me monitoring his phone calls. We monitor, not that he was talking to, on the phone excessively, but I was able to have certain parental controls, and even certain times of the night, he couldn't even use his phone at all. He was
Right.
he was like, "Really?" I was like, yes. And even when it comes going back to what you were talking about earlier about the internet, that's something else I monitor as well, because I have my computer set. You know how you can set your computer to I have a sign in and he has a sign in for my computer, and his sign in is actually limited. But of course now he's 18, so I took, of course, the restrictions and stuff off. But until
Mm-hmm.
then, I had everything managed to where he couldn't go on certain sites, like
Right.
inappropriate sites. That's I was just listen. I was just like the school. You know how the school monitors their Chromebooks. I
I
was doing
do.
and I was doing the same thing at home.
Parental it's called parental control,
Yeah.
because parents need to be aware of some of the things that their kids are watching, some of the things that they have access to, because the internet is wide open. There's just a lot of inappropriate and a lot of harmful content on there, and you have to be honest about that, and you need to be aware. We also need to I see we got KJ in the house. How you doing, KJ? Good to have you in the house with us.
What's
Happy
up,
Tuesday.
KJ?
All right, all right. She said a word. Like she got some kids out here in these streets. Okay, KJ, but she does work with the young people.
She does. She does. She does.
But I tell you something, there's just a lot that young people are dealing with. I think they deal with so many self-esteem issues because the internet allows them to have so much social comparison. And so when they're exposed to what they feel like is an idealistic lifestyle, things that they should be wearing or how they should look, or music they should be listening to, dances they should be doing. And, this social comparison leads to an unrealistic expectation for them when they're comparing themselves to their peers, you know? So that's something that I feel like we as parents need to gauge, particularly for that age, K through 12. We're not talking about anybody over that K through 12. They've been on it long enough, and they got to start figuring some of these things out on their own. But
Absolutely.
as it relates to that kid who is embarrassed by the discipline that their parent has done to them, the person who is supposed to love you. Like, what do you think some of those impacts are going to be?
Some of those impacts are, if that child does not heal, situations like that is what causes children to grow up. They're broken children and grow up to become broken adults. When they don't get that necessary healing, it comes from a lot of trauma. Because I still have some things that happened to me in my childhood that something will trigger me and I remember. And that's how sometimes I realize with Tori, that's a wound that still needs healing. And there's certain things that, as a child, that have been said as a child, and I still remember it.
Hmm.
There's some things that just stick out. And you're like, wow, and
Yeah.
hit you like a ton of bricks. That's why now I'm very careful when I'm talking to my son, like, say, because I'm guilty of this sometimes. We as adults sometimes will go through things, and I've been in a situation where I've been going through things as an adult, the things that my son has nothing, know nothing about. But I will find myself yelling when I don't need to, and I would have to check myself, like, yo, Tori, he ain't got nothing to do with what you got going on. So I,
Right.
I would always go to him and say, kid, is I shouldn't have yelled. I apologize. And he, especially when he was young, he's like, I forgive you. I accept your apology. So we have to be mindful of that as well. And even now that he's 18, I still monitor, different things that he watches on television. And like he's not really big on the internet. Like, he does have an Instagram account, but he doesn't have a Facebook account at all. He's not really into Facebook like that. And
I mean, I know.
and Tanya,
Listen.
some people call Facebook the old people.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. The kids are going to run away from the platforms that the adults are at, and I find a lot of times that they're going to be on the newer sites. They're going to be on the more trendy ones like the TikToks, the Snapchats. They're going to be where grandma hadn't figured out how to use yet. And also I want to say this. I feel like just publicly disciplining your child, not only does that lead to long-lasting emotional distress, let's be honest. You're shaming them. You're embarrassing them. You are creating trust issues, because they're going to develop trust issues because not only are they feeling this way, but you actually are betraying them by publicly exposing them in a way that is just shameful, for shameful. So you expose them for making mistakes that they made that you could easily remedy with a conversation that didn't have to be recorded. There's just so many ways that I felt like that could have been dealt with. Take her, okay, obviously she has seen twerking. So if you want to have that conversation with her, this is what the perception of this type of woman or young lady, this is the perception of what people are thinking about them. Look at what they do. Look at what they do beyond this. Look at the things that are on their page. Is this really the lifestyle that you are choosing? Is this who you want to be? Okay? This isn't something that you should be doing. Whatever that is, I feel like there can be a conversation. The last thing on my mind, the very last thing on my mind would be to publicly discipline my child. I don't think that's for the public. You're taking away from that one-on-one. You're taking away from them understanding. Like I say, I feel like that's going to lead to some trust issues. And just by publicly humiliating them, you're causing them not to be able to understand how to have healthy relationships. They're not even going to know how to connect to you, how to come to you with something. You're being so harshly judgmental. And the things that they're going to have to deal with when they go back to school, the laughs, everything that's going to happen with them when their peers are talking about it. You can't do that.
Absolutely. And then let me say this too, like, there's some things that kids do when they, especially when it comes to the young girls, like with the twerking and other things. So sometimes the parents are at fault because they can give it hand claps and think it's cute. But then
Hmm.
when they become a teenager in high school, when you start acting out, you shouldn't have told them at a young age that stuff was cute.
Ooh.
Now, when you get older, it ain't cute no more. So you should never glorify any of that stuff when they're children. And even like there's some kids that I see where the child, I think the child was like two. I saw like a 2 or 3 year old. And it was his cousin, and the parent was laughing. I'm like, that's not funny at all.
Right.
But when they become a teenager and they're cursing you out, then but it starts at home.
You're right. You brought something up. They think it's all cute. Oh, look at her. And they're you know, they asking the kid to do it. They allowing the kid to do it. So you're right. You've got to have some type of balance in there. It's not cute. If you thought it was cute, when they get older and you realize, hey, that's not what I want you to portray. Well, you taught that. Good point. Good point. But I feel like it's also creating this atmosphere of resentment towards their parents, because I'm just going to be honest. We didn't have this, we didn't have these issues growing up, but I can't imagine, like, if my parent did something to me like that, like, I'm going to be pissed. Like, you're going to know your line within being a child. You know what I mean? But I am going to be pissed. And I feel like a child is going to harbor some type of resentment, Yeah. And that's potentially going to lead to some type of parent-child difficult relationship in the long run. I can't see how that could be helpful at all. And I also feel like there's an impact on their future opportunities, because you can't take that back from the internet. Look how many people shared that already. That is now a public record. You know what I'm saying? So you've got a public record of disciplinary actions that, might have some repercussions on your child's future. You don't know what type of opportunities that might be ruined for that. Whether it's employment, their education, personal relationships. That's outrageous.
Right. And the thing with, with TikTok, like, there's certain videos that are shared on TikTok, and like, there's a feature to where you can actually save the video. So even if you save the video, like, say I save a video to my phone, even if the originator deletes the video, guess what? I still have a copy of that. So once you expose it to the internet, it's hard. And then, of course, we live in a day and age. Oh, you can delete a post, but trust me, it was screenshot.
Right. Oh, you think you're deleting stuff, but they're gonna find it.
Oh.
Where does this stuff come from? Is out there. It can come back and get you. Let's see, we got Jamesa in the house right here.
Jamesa says, it's always the parents' fault. Everything starts at home every day from 8 starts at home. Absolutely. I totally agree. And Isaac says, today's parents makes his butt itch. I ain't saying what you say, Isaac.
Oh, Lord. But you know what?
And he says, today's parents don't understand how trauma works, and it starts with how you discipline your child, because that's where love, insecurity, and understanding starts to take place in the mind of a child. I totally agree. I totally agree. Absolutely.
I just feel like it's crucial for parents to consider the long-term psychological and emotional consequences of resorting to public disciplinary actions, especially on social media. It's better to opt out and do that in privacy. Why are we not disciplining our kids in private at home? There are many other ways to address this issue. So many different ways to address that. How do you even decide that, okay, my kid is twerking. You know what? I'm getting ready to cut your hair online. Like, how did you even where did that come from? Why did your mind even go there?
Right.
How did that become a disciplinary action?
Because listen, me and my son could butt heads at the house, but I'm not finna show that while we out in public.
Right.
I'm gonna get you at the house.
You getting ready to get the eyes.
Right.
You get ready to get the stare.
Right.
And when you get home, you get ready to get my mouth.
Right.
And we're gonna start there. But we're going to have a conversation. It's important because the whole idea is, and that's where we get in this thing where there's a debate with people who feel like you should or should not spank kids, that is a certain abuse. And I personally think that there's a difference between spanking a kid and abuse, and that's a whole nother topic. But I really do feel like there is a difference. But for me, I feel like the main place that you want to get your kid to is you want to get them to be able to have open dialogue. They need to be able to sit down and listen, and you need to be able to have a conversation. You need to be able to explain to me what you have done. You need to be able to comprehend why I feel like what you're doing or have done, that you cannot and should not be doing this because of consequences. Like, you want to get your kid there. because I can't even imagine even a parent who spanks their kid. That isn't even something that you want to do. I feel like that is something done when you feel like, there isn't that way of communicating that, and maybe let me just speak for myself, because there's few times my kids will be able to say this, but there's few times that I've spanked my kids. I can't even count them on my hands. They won't be able to as well. But I will say this, and I was having this conversation actually with my daughter, because I knew we were going to be talking about this. And, she's an adult now, but I was having this conversation. I was like, when I think back to the times that I do remember spanking you, I said, it was times and for things that at that time in my life, I just didn't know how to communicate that differently to you. Now, I don't know how that sounds to her, and I don't know how that sounds to people who are listening right now, because I didn't beat my kids. There is a difference. But there wasn't another way for me to express, like, okay, what you're doing is very dangerous. You need to know that you cannot do this again. And guys, let's be honest. There's certain, when you feel a certain level of a pain, when you touch the fire and realize that it's hot, you know not to touch the stove again. You dig what I'm saying? I don't want to make any excuse for anybody who could potentially be abusing a kid. Is what I'm saying even making any sense to you right now?
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. Yes, definitely.
But that's what we were talking about. So it's rough out here. But I certainly, like I said, in this digital age, I feel like respecting your child and respecting their privacy is really, really important. And doing something like that, like how he cut her hair online, to me, that's borderline abuse.
It's abuse to me.
Okay.
It's abuse, not borderline. It's abuse to me. You're doing it online and you're cutting her hair?
Yeah.
How dare you? Amanya says, I'm sorry, Manya. She says, hello, ladies. Happy holidays. Once again, great topic. My thought is, I believe that children are being exposed to certain content that their young minds aren't yet developed to process. Sometimes it's difficult as an adult to process certain things with a fully developed mind, let alone an underdeveloped mind. I believe it interferes with the stages of growth as a child, kind of like putting the horse before the carriage. And I feel that discipline is not for the internet at all, my opinion. And I totally agree.
Hmm.
I totally agree. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that you said that, because I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine in regards to when she was saying that their minds aren't yet developed to process. There's things that I can't even deal with. So how can I expect a child to fully understand certain things if I don't understand it as an adult?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I had to realize, I'm like, listen, they can't process this. I can't even process it. So how can I expect them to be able to process it?
Yeah. I agree with you.
And Jamesa says, spare the rod, spoil the child. Soft parenting is BS. It's about communication. It's about talking to your children. It's about letting them know who and what and where you come from. Ooh, yes, sir. I agree. I
I,
agree.
yeah, and there's just a lot of people who don't like to hear that. People don't like to hear that, spare the rod, spoil the child. That really bothers a lot of people. And I certainly understand that. And a lot of times I think and I know that comes from people who that went beyond the rod, that went into abuse. And so naturally you're gonna, you're living from that space of being traumatized. And obviously you're going to go a different route in parenting your kid, because we've seen the outcome of people. Like, I know people who who spared the rod, who did the soft parenting. We watch, as our culture of people, we didn't necessarily have this soft parenting going on in our homes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we watch other cultures soft parent their kids, and their kids talk to them any type of way that they wanted to talk to them. They did things that they wanted to do. They had tantrums in ways that they wanted to have them. And, you just didn't find that a lot in our culture. And then there became a time within, we got the government in our houses where they're telling you how you should raise your kids and how you should discipline your kid. And, if you spank your kid or whatever the case may be, you could get involved with some, what do they call it? Department of Social Services came into your home. So it forced a lot of Black families and to get into this quote unquote soft parenting. And really, I think the results of a lot of things going on in a lot of these homes now and in our community are a result of that as well. That's my opinion,
Absolutely. And then one thing about it being a parent, you never stop being a parent, because I don't know if you saw that clip that went viral of Tamar Braxton and her mom. Did you see that clip?
No.
There's a clip that went viral, and Tamar was being disrespectful. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but
Van Zant?
Yeah.
Iyanla? Mm-hmm.
She was being disrespectful. And her mom was like, listen, you may not agree with what she says, but you're going to respect her. And she did it in a way, Tonya, that was so calm.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but guess what? Tamar shut it right on down. She didn't say nothing else. She ain't talk back to her mama.
Mm-hmm. Because and that comes with that comes with growth, and that comes with that communication component that we were talking about. Because I don't know any parent who just wants, that's not the thing on your mind. Like, you know what? You go out here, you work all day. I'm getting ready to go home and just beat my kids. That's not where you are. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's not something that you even want to do. I feel like it comes to a decision of, this is what I have to do, or this is what I think I have to do, because you're at a communication breakdown that either you or that kid are not able to handle. So you may have to choose a different discipline.
Absolutely. Isaac says parents today want to be seen doing something on social media because they need validation that what they're doing is right. And 9 times out of 10, you're wrong because of that weird action alone. Children feel alienated and embarrassed when you take that to social media. Parents do better. Parents do better.
Parents do better. Yes.
And Jamesa says, amen to that, Tanya. What you was talking about earlier. Exact communication, but spanking is okay also from 0 to 6. Because if you get them young, then you don't have to be. Whoo! Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I am so glad somebody said that.
Yeah.
Because I know this to be a truth. Because, and she put that age on it, 0 to 6.
Yeah.
And definitely, and I just want to say those elementary years. And the reason why I think that as well is because as your young person, as your child grows older, and they're getting taller, and they're reaching up to your height and your eyesight, you don't want to be spanking a kid like that. You're breaking their dignity, and that just isn't something that you want to do. I don't feel like you should have to do that to an older kid. And in fact, that's something that I've never done. I personally feel like that's just disrespectful. And I would feel strange doing that. I really believe that you just have to get your kid to that age and that understanding of communication. And then you have to get to that place where you know that there are certain things, like what happened to taking things away from them, taking the Xbox, taking TV privileges. What happened to not allowing them to go out? When they get to ages, they don't get to use the car. There's so many other things that you get to do. So like, people who are physically disciplining teenagers, like I don't even know, like I have no idea or no experience of that. I can't even, I don't know what that's like, because that's not something that I would do. I can't look at my young man or my young lady and hit them, because I feel like that is just so disrespectful. I really, really do. Get them to that point of understanding, like I've got to sit down and listen. And when you do that within those elementary years, just like Jamaisa's comment here, I'm going to put it back up here. She says, you know, you got to get them to that age of understanding. Amen to that, Tanya. Exactly. Communication, but spanking is okay from 0 to 6, because if you get them young, you don't have to when they're big. No, because they've reached that understanding. They touched the stove when it was hot, so they know not to put their hand there again. You get to tell them that. You get to have conversations now. Let's go in here and see what Kimberly is talking about. Kimberly says, not even knowing the father, I'm just going to guess that if he was giving her time and the attention she deserves, she might not be online trying to get it from others. But he ain't ready for that accountability. He too busy trying to get attention for himself.
Mic drop. Mic drop. That's exactly what, we don't know his situation, but I've seen that personally.
Right.
That's the case. They're not getting that attention from the parent, so they're online trying to get validation
Right.
and attention. Yeah, I've seen it.
You know, she said a couple things here, like the kid is online trying to get that attention and be validated that way, as well as that parent is also trying to get attention for himself because they uploaded that on their page.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. And the part about the accountability part too, she said, but he ain't ready for that accountability. That was good too. And Craig, what's up, Craig? Craig says, I absolutely hate the term old school parenting. Raising a child hard only make that child reluctant to talk to the parent. I never yelled or beat my kids. I had to use my soft skills.
Respect.
And I actually to piggyback off what he just said, the soft skills, when I was actually when my son was going through a phase of acting out in middle school, when I found myself yelling and we would butt heads, y'all, I'm telling you, when I changed it, instead of yelling, and even though he was acting a donkey, I remained calm, and I just started talking to him instead of talking at him. And when I tell you it made a difference, it really made a difference, because I used to talk at him all the time. But once I started talking to him and allowed him to also have a conversation with me, because I would tell him, mommy is not always right. If I say something or I do something to hurt your feelings, tell me. I'm not
Right.
always going to agree, but I want you to have open communication with me. And we actually still have those conversations now. Like there's everything you do, I'm not going to agree with,
Right.
but I'd rather for you come talk to me than
Right.
learn and get stuff, answers from the streets. Come talk to me. And I thank God that at that age in middle school, he used to shut down and didn't talk to me. But now he talked talk to me about so much. I'm like, yo, I don't need to know all this. And you ain't got, you talk to my brother about certain things. Talk to my brother about that.
Right.
But
But
I'm glad he feel comfortable talking to me.
right. Right. I agree with you. Like I say, we're trying to get to that communication in that understanding, but also let me say this for because I like what Craig said, and like I told you, the conversation that I was having with my daughter, I told her, I said, those times that I did spank you, I got to be honest with you, I just didn't know how else to express that. Now, also, I will say this, it still was with a conversation. Now, because I'm always going to have a conversation, and we're not having no beat down session. Let's be clear about that. I don't have to say that for an excuse. I'm being transparent. We're not talking about a beat down session. We're talking about, let me get your attention. Let me get your attention quickly. You need to hear me right now. Let me get this attention. And a conversation is following that. I am telling you why. I'm explaining to you why. So there's that. But I have so much respect for parents like Craig, who says, let me I'm going to skip a few comments to get to what Craig is saying here, and we'll go back to the other ones. But let's hear what he's saying here.
Craig says, it bothers me. My kids are excelling and I didn't have to beat them. You're teaching your kids it's okay to hit another person. Ooh.
Right. So, and I don't disagree with him. I do not disagree with him. I applaud him because that has worked in some positive ways for some people, and
And you
Yeah.
know what? Speaking of that, what he just saying, piggyback off that, you know what really burns me up? When like you have a child that may be acting out or whatever, you discipline whatever, and they're still crying. You know, you don't beat the child and they crying. And then some parents, because I know I've heard this a lot growing up as a child, they'll say, you keep on crying, I'm gonna give you something else to cry for.
Ooh. Yeah. 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 So some of us who like Craig also said in his initial comment where he said he hate that old school style of
Mm,
parenting. Some of us who were raised in that old school style of parenting, we know that. We
mm.
know that. So I know
Abuse.
that too. I'm gonna
Abuse.
give you something to cry about.
Abuse.
But
And
let me say this. You right. But I still want to let me take Isaac comment down for a second. I don't feel abused. And people want to tell us that we're making some excuses. I'm sorry. I don't feel abused. I felt disciplined.
and Isaac says, yeah, ain't no borderline, it's abuse and it's disgusting, and that's my professional opinion as a certified child behavioral specialist.
And I think he's talking about that comment came up during a time frame when we were talking about him cutting the hair like that
Yeah.
was. I said that's borderline abuse.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what he's referring to. Because I said it's abuse. Jamesa says respect is earned, not given, and a lot of parents feel out because they are mother father that gives him respect, and it doesn't. You teach respect by giving it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
And
yes.
that's why I say I can't understand a physical discipline of outside of that elementary year, those elementary years. I don't see because you're teaching and grooming them to be a young adult, and that's not what you do. That's not what you do. Like Craig said, you're teaching them that it's okay to hit other people. No, but well, again, I just have to speak for myself. I never even really wanted to do it.
Hmm.
I see Amina in the house. She said, "Hey, y'all. Hello, Amina.
What's up, Amina? How you
New."
doing, girl? Them pretty babies.
That's what I was just about to say. New mama with them pretty little girls. I
Craig
think.
says, "Oh,
I
we
think.
did."
Yeah, we did that one. We did that one, and we agree with him. Y'all can read it if you want to before I take it down. All right, Kimberly.
Kimberly says, "I don't think you physically discipline a teenager. You're fighting them because you all said you should have taught them better sooner."
I agree. I physically. That is what I feel like. If you are physically disciplining a teenager, that really seems like a fight to me. And I've known people to fight their parents. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. That's because somewhere you did not seal that communication component. You didn't get it.
Hmm. And Isaac says, "Natanya, these teenagers today are something else. You can do all what just said, communication, take things away, all that, and these kids will try you. You ain't raised them like that and all. These kids are different. Like they will literally try you physically too. They, I was just saying the other day, these kids are different. These are
They are. And well, let's also
mm,
say that we're also coming from an era of this soft parenting thing because the parents have soft parent them through those elementary years. So they didn't develop that.
mm,
That's my opinion. Now that's going to work for some and not all. And we got to know that all of the fruits are not the same. There's some apples out here, there's some oranges out here, there's some bananas out here. There's some kids out here that you can talk to. There's some
mm,
kids that you can look at them hard and their eyes all get ready to well up. They crying already before you can even say anything because they know you disappointed. There's that kid who hard as I don't know what. You're right. They're going to try you. So if you don't
mhm,
tap that hand or tap that little bottom, they not get ready to listen to what you say. It actually depends on the particular kid.
mhm,
And if we're gonna be honest, some kids do not require that. Their temperament is so different. But what Isaac is saying here, where some of these kids will try you, yes, they will, because you don't soft parent them and they have no accountability. They ain't never felt the heat from the stove.
Oh Lord, I was having a flashback as you was talking. Lord Jesus. When you were talking about when Isaac mentioned the fact that you take things away from a take things
Hmm.
away from a child. I went through a phase, me and Kadez went through a phase where we was acting out as a teenager. And I remember
Hmm.
taking this home one time and this boy had a what do you call it? Tantrum.
Yeah.
He started hitting the wall. I said, boy, what?
Hmm.
So there was some
Yeah.
times, yeah, I had to lay hands, a couple of times. I was like, oh my God. But see now, like I said, we talk like listen, I'll never be his friend, but he's able to talk to me. But actually,
But that's what.
but you know what? We are
Listen.
friends.
This
We
this
are
is
friends.
listen. This is what we're saying because you've said this. So you don't. We need to get them to be able to sit down and have that communication. You did that. You just like Jamesa said. You don't have to. That's not something that you continue to do. You've already developed that. That seed has been planted. You know what I'm saying? I see we got Amina here with a comment.
And Mina says some parents aren't using negative consequences like taking privileges because they use the things, devices to pacify their children. Taking the things away that you made the kids think are their rights instead of privileges causes conflicts that parents who like emotional intelligence don't want because they rather go along to get along. Ooh, now that's good. That's
Come
good.
on, mama.
Yeah, that's
Come
good.
on, new mama. You done said it. You done said it. You're right, because I find that a lot of parents do that. They allow these iPads, they allow this media, these computers, these televisions to be babysitters for them.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
they are not parenting these kids. They are not. What happened to making sure your kid did a particular sport?
Hmm.
Why are they not outside? They supposed to be outside, so when they run back, when they running in and out of the house, you can say, "Close my door and stop running in and out of my house, letting out the cool air." They supposed to run back in the house and be like, "Ooh, you smell like outside."
Right.
You know why don't they have those stories and experiences that they're going to be able to share when they get to your age? Because you allow them to stay in all the time. They're always on some type of media. They're always scrolling. They don't even know what outside life is like. Why haven't they been drinking out of the water hose? Because they
Me and my
can't come
son.
right. Because they can't come back in the house. They done been in too many times. Why they not drinking out the water hose?
Me and my son just had this conversation. That why I'm laughing. I was like, y'all don't know what outside is. My mom used to tell me all the time, you smell like a gnat.
Yeah. You understand me? What in the world?
Jamesa says, it's funny you said that, Tanya. I was just typing anytime. I spent my kids or shut down and got quiet. I always came back and had a conversation. Always. It's important to let them know why. It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because and I feel like that component, that communication component, I feel like that is the separation of abuse,
Mm,
in my opinion.
yeah.
That is the separation, because you're not doing that to hurt your child, and that's not something that you want to do, and you want to explain to them and talk them through this. You really, really do. Now, I know there are parenting experts and counselors out here and people who've done different things, but we're going to have to agree to disagree. We're going to have to understand that there are different kids, there are different family dynamics. I do not subscribe to any type of abuse, anything that you're doing. Like, you shouldn't be punching no kid. Your kid shouldn't have no black eyes and no bruises. They shouldn't be hit with objects. You're not throwing. You understand what I'm saying? You can't throw the kid across the room. You
Mm,
can't kick a kid. You understand what I'm saying?
mhm,
So,
mhm.
within this conversation, I just think people lump too many things in that abuse thing, and we make people feel like they're abused. And I will also say, because we cannot deny that there are kids who are abused. There are parents who are doing things that are not necessary. Your kid is not supposed to be disciplined with an iron. That's abuse. You understand what I'm saying? There's a difference. There's a difference.
And them drop chords too, ain't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Jamesa says men have a different way. They should never have to hit. My opinion, because their voices are different, and so they come across differently. That's true.
I agree with that too. I was never physically disciplined by my father, ever. He was always able to talk to us. Always. And it is a different discipline. She brings up something very, very true in my sight.
Hmm. And Craig says, my mom was a beater and yelled. Bless her heart. She didn't have the skills to deal with two knuckleheaded boys. I was a bad, blank, mischievous boy, and those beating didn't change anything. Some I knew beating and yelling at my babies wasn't an option for me. So he knew
Right.
that it wasn't beating. Yeah. And that
Right.
makes a difference. And I'm glad you were able to recognize that.
And that's what, and I think we kind of talked about that a little bit when it is in an excess and
Mm-hmm.
you don't get to that understanding or have that skill to communicate and deal with that. Because let's think about this too. Parents are young. I mean, we're at a particular age now, but if we're going to be honest, the average person is young. There's just a whole lot of life that you haven't lived yet. And now you've brought some young people in the world and you've got to raise them. And it's just certain, and you may not have been raised yourself in a lot of situations. So, but he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. It's going to be on I feel like every family is supposed to get better and find better ways of communication. Each generation, we need to get better. I see Jamesa here. She says, I wish one of my kids would raise their hand to me. Off to jail I go. LOL. I believe that people who fight their teenage children are fighting their own demons. Woo!
Woo-wee.
Child.
That part.
Now, I don't know if that would ever cross my kid's mind. I sure hope not, because it would never cross my mind. And I got to tell you this, too. It has never crossed my mind to raise my hand at my mother. That's just something that never crossed my mind. And not because I'm afraid of her, not because she put the fear of life or something in me. Like I said, you grow and develop this sense of communication. You're not always physically disciplined. I feel like kids who are spanked is just a different thing from a kid who is beat. And I can't even understand what could even make me that angry that I would even consider hitting my mother. And I can't think of anything or disagreement I could have with my kids as they are adults now that would make them consider the thought of hitting me. I can't. I cannot. Y'all got to learn to talk. Y'all got to learn to talk. And that's why I keep going back to those elementary years where some of the understanding is just hadn't reached the understanding. And that's where that little tap on that booty or that little tap in that hand comes into play. Let me get your attention here real quick. Real quick. Come here, get this attention real quick.
Real quick. Q says a lot of this soft parenting has equated to no parenting, and that's why these teenagers today are out of control. Yep.
When the government came in people's houses and started telling you how to discipline your kid, I felt like that had a lot to do with it too, because they were making parents who were not abusing their kids feel like, you were just lumped into being an abuser.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anybody anybody who used the rod automatically became an abuser, like you was hitting them in the head or something. And that's not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. And Isaac says, I say all the time to parents, while you're giving your child everything you didn't have, don't forget to give them those things and experiences that you did have. There has to be balance. And I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely.
And Q also says, ooh, I missed the beginning of the conversation due to a meeting, but having devices and access to social media is not allowed. My child received a phone when he got to middle school, and was playing sports, and things were changing too fast to wait to use someone else's phone. Too many children have phones, and they are absolutely unnecessary for their age. Social media is a no in my house because I feel it can hinder more than it can help, especially when it comes to a college. How do you pronounce that word?
Collegiate.
Collegiate future. And I had a friend, this was probably back because I didn't give my son a phone until he was a teenager, but I actually had a friend that gave their child a phone. I want to say between 6 and 7, and it just so happened she actually happened to go through his phone, and she looked at the phone. The child was sending inappropriate picture to another child, and she wouldn't have known this until one day she checked the child's phone. I was like, wait a minute, What? And the children even had plans of linking up after school. Like, what?
Hush your mouth. Hush
And,
your mouth.
and that's because one particular day she decided to go through the child's phone, and they had all kind of like a thread of inappropriate stuff.
That's why you have to do that in those ages. Like, let me tell you something. In those particular ages, when I had more control over my kids' phone, when I say did not like that, they did not like. But you had to do it. You had to do it, and especially for their safety.
Yeah.
There's some horrible people out here. Everybody doesn't have good intentions, you know, and then they don't understand what privacy is like, and they could be sending, like they can be making connections and meetups, and you need to be able to know what's going on. You need to be able to observe them, and you know, I used to know. I can say this now because my kids are adults, but I used to know their little hidden pages too. They didn't know that I saw, like, there's things that my daughter to this day don't know that I know from pages that she didn't know that she had. Like, I knew she had tattoos before she was older. Like, I knew. I was just looking. I was like, I see what she do. But you gotta choose your battles. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's what she felt like she needed to do. That's where she was at. I was still paying attention, but you know, there were pages, like I would see things that I was like, okay, all right, all right, and she ain't
Yeah.
know.
Well, she still lets you know now.
Matter of fact, she just found out. She was this age old when she found out.
Wow.
She was this age old. I'm KJ. I ain't meant to say that, but it's true. And you have to do that. And you still have to pick your battles.
Yeah.
You still have to pick your battles. I mean, obviously, if it was something that I felt was extremely unsafe, then, you know, I would intervene accordingly. And I've done that in situations too. You know, when you see things that, you know, like, hey, it's time for mama to do something here because you're going a little too left.
Right.
Let's pump these brakes.
Look at the left. KJ, right. Why should do you like that?
I hope you do not feel harmed right now. I want to share this with people because I'm offering a parenting tip because I know you are welled in your life right now.
KJ, the exposure, right? Woo! Jamaica says my youngest son was bad. Middle school was the years of. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, it was. Hiring him was not. Wait a minute, hitting was that hitting him was not
Maybe.
the answer. But he was bad. I cried a lot and prayed even more. But he got in trouble in his senior year, a lot of trouble. But through that and the pressure I put on him to do what the courts told him so he wouldn't have a record was hard. The blessing came later when he set me down and thanked me, said he finally understood all the lessons, all in love. And I have three, and my boys are nine. Is that 19? Is it 19 years? That's good.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is tough. But like she said, and we got to be honest with this too. She said my youngest son was bad. And I don't subscribe to calling kids bad, but we got to be honest. Some of these kids are different than the others. Some of them you might be getting a challenge that you need to face, you know. Some kids are going to be different. Like I said, you're going to get that one, you look at them hard and they're already crying. You ain't got to do nothing. Like, if you don't go sit down over there, and they going to sit down. But then there's that one that they get ready to, you tell them to sit down, they get ready to go on the chair, stand on it, jump off of it. You know, they get ready to do some real crazy things. So you've got to know your kid. And you've got to know that, quite honestly, there's going to be a different discipline for those different kids. Because the whole idea of disciplining a kid, in my opinion, is not even so much just for me. It's not even so much for me because I feel like I can tolerate a whole lot more things in my home and allow my kids to do so many different things and have so many different freedoms. The idea for disciplining my kid was never for myself. It was for when they go outside of these doors. So when they go out here and they have to deal with other people, so when they're in a classroom, when they're in a space, that they have to know how to conduct themselves, that they know when to say when they know what not to do, because there's going to be someone who's not going to have the patience that I have. And you could be putting yourself in some harm. You could be getting yourself in some trouble because you don't understand boundaries, because you don't know when to stop. If we on a top floor and it has no railing, and you're not a kid who listened to me, if I can't say to you, stop, and you take me serious to stop, you get ready to fall off. You understand what I'm saying? So I need to know that you need to listen. You need to know how to listen. And I'm doing that discipline for your safety because it ain't for me. I done got mine. You understand?
Right.
I'm doing that for you.
Right. And Jermaine says, "Oh, I never told him he was bad. He'll tell you now. All I wasn't bad. I was just mischievous. I believe in negative connotations. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't take it that way. I was just saying that we have to be honest with ourselves, that we know when we have that kid who is just on a different level. We have to recognize that, you know?
But I feel you
Absolutely.
on that, Tanya, because I actually told a friend of mine, I was like, don't call your child bad, because they actually call their child. I said, don't do that. I said, don't do that.
You don't do that.
Yeah. Amina says, yes, you preaching right now. And then Q says, you said a mouthful there. Many people don't realize that you have to cater to each child as they are all different people. I was that child that you looked at and I cried because I knew better. But my brother, woo Lord, he was a complete opposite. Our parents had to parent us differently. Absolutely.
Exactly. That's what we're saying. So we just have to know that and be honest. We can't put out here that there's not a one way plan of disciplining a kid. It's not. But certainly it is not embarrassing your kid. Certainly it is not humiliating them. You're trying to build them to be good, productive people in this society. And there are just too many lasting psychological and emotional impacts of public humiliation. No one wants that. And not only that, they're not even going to trust you anymore. You've lowered their self-esteem. And that's the opposite of what we want to do. We want to build their self-esteem. We've been talking here over an hour now, Tori. We've been talking over an hour, so
listen. That why Logan like listen. They still on they over an hour. That why he grabbing child, reaching for the microphone. I'm like Logan, no. He like listen. Y'all been talking over an hour. Let me say something. I'm literally fighting, trying not to get him to get a hold of the mic.
Tell him we getting ready to conclude this conversation.
Lord have mercy. He reaching for the mic, Tanya.
All right, well, give us a little close here, and we'll get on out of here and let people get back to work, because it's a short work week. We don't want you to get fired right before Thanksgiving, so go on back and do your job.
I just want to tell people to make sure your child can talk to you, and don't yell at the child. Don't talk at the child, because I was that parent that I yelled. But once I stopped yelling and talked to my son, now we like the best of friends. We're very close, and he's able to talk to me about anything. So just be there for your children and allow them to express how they feel.
Right.
And with that being said, I'm out, and we'll be back at it next Tuesday. Peace out, y'all. And y'all, don't eat too much turkey, ham, yams, and all that other stuff what Shirley Caesar be talking about. Y'all have a happy holiday and enjoy your family.
All right. Always good to talk to Tori. Talk It Out Tuesday. I want you guys to take some points from this conversation and use them how you need to use them. Know yourself and know your kid. Have a little bit of patience. Sometimes you might just need to sit down with yourself and think about it. Don't make immediate reactions or have immediate reactions as well. I think that helps a lot when it comes to discipline, because discipline is a crucial aspect of raising a child. And it absolutely requires thoughtful consideration. Now, with this new age social parenting, with social media. So that's why it says social parenting. I don't know how I feel about it. It's a slippery slope because these platforms are out here. The kids are on here. So we need to be mindful of that potential long-term impact. We got to do better and we got to teach them better. So as parents, our goal is to guide, nurture, and empower our kids. We're trying to foster an environment of love and of understanding. So let's choose disciplinary approaches that foster a loving environment. All right? That's what I say we need to do. So I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing your bits and your little tidbits on the conversation. You always really make the conversation. Tori and I started, but really you make this conversation. Parenting is a journey, and let's be honest, it's a privilege. Everyone doesn't get that privilege. Think about that. So enjoy this journey and discipline with your heart. All right? Before we get out of here, before we completely get out of here, we're going to do a little bit of breath work and get right back into our day, and you enjoy your holiday season. All right, y'all? I enjoy you. Make sure that you hit the like. Make sure that you subscribe. Go to YouTube and subscribe. Yes, I ask you to do that. Tell your mama, tell your friends, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build here. I want us to be able to have this conversation with even a larger group of people. I want the chat to grow even more. I love everybody who here. So if you can share this, share this. It's very important that you do it. If you can like this. I see more people watching than sometimes I see hitting that like button. I see more people here on the book than I see on that tube. Go to that tube. Go there. Subscribe. Those numbers make a difference. All right, y'all? Let's do some breath work. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold a few seconds. Exhale. And hold that a few seconds. Inhale one more time. Hold a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. And don't you feel great? I feel great. I appreciate you guys. And if nobody gave you a smile today, if nobody smiled today, you just close your eyes and give yourself a big smile and see how that feels for you. Right? Y'all be great out here. It's what we do. One love, y'all.